Let's talk about My 600-Pound Life. So this was a popular show. I watched a lot of it because I couldn't believe how large the people on the show were. They weren't 600 pounds, okay? Some of them were like 700, 800 pounds. These are people where one step they take is legitimately the most exercise they will achieve in the entire week. And it's usually one step from their couch, which is positioned right next to their door, to the door itself to open it to get DoorDash, which is insane. Yeah, I mean, look, this show, very popular for a long time, and apparently it's worse than you thought.
My 600-Pound Life has everything a reality TV show needs to be entertaining, from gut-wrenching emotional meltdowns to brutal reality checks.
Steven, you're not going to be alive much longer the way you live. You want us to write you off as hopeless? Then we will. There is no hope for you.
But what truly keeps viewers coming back are the powerful stories of perseverance and transformation.
Is that true? Is that why people come back to the show, or they just can't stop watching? This is one of these shows where if I'm watching it, I cannot stop watching because it's just like, it's shock content.
Seeing the cast in the show struggle against insurmountable odds, not just for themselves, but for the people they love, is nothing short of inspiring.
So you lost almost 250 pounds. Well, how's your life changed since you started the program?
I mean, I can do so much. Just getting out, doing things, not having to depend on people. Just, you know, take care of myself.
Unfortunately, while the show's premise of helping morbidly obese people lose their weight is great on paper, its execution is far from perfect. Behind the triumphant on-screen moments lies a tangled web of emotional manipulation, neglected mental health, and alleged mistreatment, all of which gets buried beneath the dramatic edits and the uplifting music. Hi, I'm the Internet Anarchist. I create weekly YouTube documentaries, and today, we're diving into everything wrong with TLC's My 600-Pound Life, how a show meant to change lives for the better has allegedly left many worse off, and, at least in one tragic case, pushed someone past the point of no return. For those who haven't seen My 600-Pound Life before, it's a reality TV show that aired its first episode in 2012. It's about bringing on extremely obese people, often weighing way over 600 pounds, and providing them with the resources they need to lose the excess weight, including medical supervision, strict dietary plans, and even weight loss surgery. While many of the show's participants regain the weight after their appearance,
it is a little over 4 months since your weight loss surgery, and you already started getting...
This is a stupid question, but I'm actually being serious, and this is an honest, like, from the heart. I don't understand. Does anyone, like, know someone like this? Because if you do, then maybe you actually can answer this. How do you get to this point? And don't just say eating or not exercising. Like, I eat a lot, sometimes too much, but I don't get to this point. How does this happen? Like, I don't get that you can eat any amount and get to this point. Are you just drinking, like, just straight up liquid dough? I don't get it. How does it actually happen? Can someone explain this to me? Because I've seen a lot of people, none of whom are this large, and if they were, I would want to know how the fuck they got there.
Gaining again. So obviously, that's a very bad situation we have with you.
there are also a number of people who manage to keep the weight off and turn around their lives for good.
Oh my goodness. Damn.
But unfortunately, for
y'all missed that.
who managed to keep the weight off and turn around their lives for good. Unfortunately, for every person this show helped, there are others who came out with extremely troubling allegations against its producers, like Gina Krasley, who claimed that the show's producers encouraged her to eat more, also they could add more drama to her episodes. If true, this allegation implied that the show wasn't just
Can I be honest? That could be true. I won't deny that it's true. It seems like something this person would make up to justify eating this shit. No, but you don't understand. They made me eat the burger. They did it. They put the burger in my mouth. They literally said, eat the burger. It wasn't my fault. I mean, it's possible that they did, but it would be funny if that is just like some fat ass lie.
add more drama to her episodes. If true, this allegation implied that the show wasn't just documenting the participants' struggles, it was
Isn't it true that you can get so fat that you need to get your feet cut off? What's up with that?
actively creating it, something that only undermines their recovery, but also calls the entire premise of the show into question. But this is only the tip of the iceberg, because when encouraging more eating doesn't provide the spectacle they were looking for,
Is that the McDonald's snack wrap?
iceberg, because when encouraging more eating doesn't provide the spectacle
We've got a burger, some McFries, and then this. This looks amazing. You got fries with an onion, some chicken with sauce. What is this, chat?
they were looking for, the producers resort to deceptive editing to fit the
Bro, if that's what they're throwing at me, I might be on my 600-pound life.
narrative they had in mind. Or at least, that's what happens according to Marla McCants, who did have a successful weight loss journey, but isn't very fond of the show that helped her along the way. One of her scenes showed her in a hospital bed, refusing to get up even a year after her surgery.
Regarding one particular scene where McCants refused to stand up, she revealed that the show warped the timeline, making it seem as if this scene occurred much longer after the surgery.
This made her look like she was just being lazy and stubborn for no reason, when, according to an interview she did later, this couldn't have been further from the truth, with her stating, like, the scene where I was in the hospital and I wouldn't get up, y'all.
So they're manipulating the timeline to make people think that they're even fatter and lazier than normal? Why do they even have to manipulate the timeline? Oh, I guess, like, for certain people who the episodes might surround, then, like, what if they're actually on good behavior and they're taking their lives seriously? It's like, oh, that's not good content. Yeah.
People don't know why I didn't get up. First of all, they put it out there a year ahead, when actually it was only 1 month after I had the gastric bypass. I had lost 70 pounds the first month. I had my surgery February 13th of 2015. That episode aired March of 2015. So I had just lost 70 pounds, I was malnourished, I was in the hospital, and he wanted me to get up? Seriously? I'm bleeding on the bed and you want me to get up? Now, reality TV shows tweaking timelines or rearranging scenes for dramatic effect isn't exactly breaking news. But in Marla's case, it wasn't just misleading, it painted a false picture of her behavior and undermined her commitment to turning her life around.
Right.
And unfortunately, it wasn't just Marla who walked away from the show feeling mistreated. Season 7 participant Jeannie Covey accused the showrunners of forcing her to film while she was suffering from emotional turmoil. You see, Jeannie had to travel to Texas with her mother for the
And they'll put up with it because they need the free shit.
show, leaving her father back home. But about 6 months into the filming process, she noticed that she hadn't heard from him in several days. So she contacted the authorities to request a wellness check, only to be met with devastating news that her father had passed away. The show then showed her returning home and abandoning the weight loss program Dr. Now, the show's host, had designed for her. She later claimed that she and her mother were grieving the loss of her father,
And they're like, yeah, can we get this on camera? Yeah, yo daddy dead, let's film this. Can you also eat a burger so that it looks like you're taking the loss of your father as an excuse to eat burgers? That's crazy. My 600-pound life, feeding their own victims with junk food.
asked
And filming their breakdowns.
to the producers to stop
Cinema.
filming. However, instead of agreeing to her request, the showrunners threatened them with a lawsuit, essentially forcing them to continue filming without caring about her mental health. Which brings us to one of the most frequent criticisms from former participants, the show's lack of adequate mental health support. In most cases, food addiction is as much of a mental struggle as it is a physical one. However,
That's what I would imagine, because if you're so addicted to food, then it's just like, I feel like you don't just get to 600 pounds enjoying food. It's got to be a mental thing.
according to these participants,
Like, I feel like you got to find comfort in food like it's like a therapist. When you're going through some hard times, you just eat ice cream.
the showrunners focused heavily on the physical aspects of weight loss.
That looks good as shit, though. Little eggs and bacon.
According to these participants, the showrunners
Oh, okay. Then we got like 4 cookies and toast. Damn. That bacon looks good, though.
focused heavily on the physical aspects of weight loss, while neglecting the crucial
Dude, as much as bacon is so unhealthy, and I wish that it was, like, healthier to eat, I feel like if there was ever a healthier alternative, it would just taste so much worse than the original. It's like, I need to have bacon, you know? You can't do vegan chicken, you can't do turkey bacon, you just gotta have actual fucking bacon. And honestly, dude, from what I understand, it's like a carcinogen. Bacon is literally killing you, but it's so good. So good.
mental
The real dangerous shit, though, if you have like bacon wrapped chicken or something, you use bacon to wrap something, that's how they get you.
health care they needed to break the addiction. One of these participants is Alicia Kurgan, who alleged that when she brought up her declining mental health to the producers, including depression and anxiety, they did not provide any counseling. All she received was a single on-camera therapy session that was completely scripted. But
Yes, they just wanted to get those waterworks
But that's not all, because she also accused the showrunners of faking her mental health evaluation before the surgery, claiming that she was given a quote 5-question mental health survey a couple hours before her procedure that asked questions with true or false answers. If she answered one of the questions incorrectly, the producers would take the form away and give her another until she answered all the questions quote correctly.
Show.
And while Alicia was still able to lose her excess weight and change her life for the better, this alleged lack of mental health facilities could explain why so many of the participants regained their weight after ending the show, since without Dr. Now's stern meal plans, there was nothing that motivated them to continue their weight loss journey. Unfortunately, regaining weight pales in comparison to the toll these mental health struggles allegedly took on James Bonner. James appeared in the 6th season of the show, and was doing quite significantly better than most other contestants.
Today, I'm going to see where my progress is at, and if I hit my weight loss goals, to get me below.
This is gonna sound crazy, but he doesn't even look that bad compared to everybody else in the show.
392.
Hey!
I'm happy with that.
In total, he lost over 316 pounds in—
Yeah, this is someone who I would probably... Now we're getting back to... I'd see you at, like, Disneyland, but you're still fat. Like, this is still, like, normal. Not normal, but, like, this is like, oh, okay, he's fat, he's American.
just 12 months.
Yeah, that's fat, but it's not that bad. It is that bad, but it's not like, bro, my 600-pound life bad.
And was on track to lose even more.
And I'm hoping
Like, I'm not even joking, I think EDP is fatter.
I can do something today I haven't done in around 15 years.
What
I'm
is
hoping
this?
I'll be able to start running.
Oh shit, dude, you got amputated.
And if I can, that'll mean I can get even more active.
Let's freaking go.
And hopefully make progress even faster.
However,
like this.
his
I'm
incredible weight
inspired.
loss journey was tragically cut short on August the 2nd, 2018, when he decided to game over himself. His passing came as a complete shock to everyone who had
my
watched him fight
goodness.
so hard to turn his life around.
Because if I slip and
That's
fall, I can
terrible.
get seriously hurt.
Oh man.
No one knew why
That makes me so sad.
James would do something like that. That
That's
was until
terrible.
early 2020, when his family came forward and blamed his appearance on My 600-Pound Life for his untimely death. According to them, James reached out to one of the show's production
That's
assistants
so
with his
sad.
struggles, sending her messages like, "I am a effed up wreck right now. I'm not in a good place right now, it's dark, and I had a breakdown." But instead of taking his mental health struggles more seriously, the production
Damn.
assistant allegedly replied with, "Fake it till you make it,"
What?
completely dismissing the challenges he was facing, which should never have been the case,
Nah, this show
as his
is
dark
fucked
thoughts
up,
were visible
man.
even during the show's production.
There's days where I feel so worthless, I think. I'd be better off in the ground.
To make matters worse, his family alleged that he was drowning in debt as well, since the show's producers failed to cover the medical expenses they promised they
What?
would. His family
This doesn't even make any sense.
also took things a step further and filed a $1 million lawsuit
Who are these producers?
against the show's parent company.
Because I assume that the producers for this show are not the same as the other shows, so it's not like a TLC problem, it's a specific problem with the producers of this show. So it seems like these people are legitimately fucking demonic and don't care about the people that they are supposed to care about specifically to improve their life, which is crazy. These are evil. These are producers from hell. And I think that if there was ever a lawsuit against these people, a lot would get unveiled that would, honestly, it would probably indict them pretty hard. I want to know how these lawsuits turned out and if they ever really got far.
Megalomedia. If the things they alleged were completely actually true, this should have been a quick and easy victory. However, that's where things took an unexpected turn.
No.
You see, while James's family was the first to take legal action against Megalomedia, they were far from the last. Soon after this, other participants, some of which we talked about earlier, also started
hopped
filing
on.
lawsuits against
That's
the
good.
company for alleged mistreatment, lack of mental health facilities, and failure to pay previously promised medical bills.
Right.
It wasn't wasn't long before Megalomedia was facing lawsuits from 10 different participants.
Good.
However, instead of the love and support you'd expect these individuals to receive, the online community largely turned against them for being ungrateful. As one person in response to David Bolton's lawsuit about unpaid medical bills wrote, he wanted the costs of medical treatment covered by the show and claims they made it more stressful.
But didn't the show promise to pay for them? Like, isn't the trade-off that we're going to use you as content, but we'll pay for your surgeries? That seems like the promise, because otherwise, why would you just go on the show and be made into this, like, spectacle of, like, this, like, hey, everyone look at the fat guy, he's so fat, but we're going to help him get on track. But it's like, the we're going to help him get on track part includes the financial, like, relieving the financial burden and paying for this stuff.
Dude would have died without the show, but hey, that's nothing to compare.
The dude would have died without the show, but bro, like, the one guy literally game overed himself. Like, this is not even true. Like, people are yeah, like, maybe they would have died of obesity, but the idea that, like, that they haven't covered the medical costs is now okay because they, like, told him to go to the doctor. Because if they didn't pay for them, they basically just said, hey, go to the doctor or go to this doctor. They just referred him to that, which the internet can do for free. So we're just gonna have you on camera and be a spectacle that people can laugh at. And it's like, this is a joke.
Hair to wanting money, right? Similarly, Jeannie Covey faced backlash for claiming the show should have stopped production after her father's death. After all, she signed the contracts willingly.
Are people really gonna say, hey, they signed the contracts, hey, you should have known what you were getting into? You fucking people have no sympathy. You think she didn't know what she was gonna get into. She didn't know her father would die.
And it wasn't as if the producers forced her to stick with the weight loss plan in the months that followed, with one comment on YouTube writing, right from the start, she had a huge chip on her shoulder. She was a victim, a special case. Nobody understood her. Her gomless mum was serving up meals big enough for 6 people, but neither of them, quote, realized they were breaking the diet. Jeannie turned this into a battle between herself and Dr. Now, because she couldn't take responsibility for herself and buckled down to dieting. And these weren't the only examples. People had seen many of the contestants that filed a suit act entitled and prideful on the show. This gave them a reason to question and challenge the criticisms these participants raised against the production, with one comment scrutinizing the claims made by James's family following his death, reading, I think LB's family is just looking to cope with his blank. Which, yes, very tragic, but the weight loss was probably the only happiness he's had in recent years. I think he most likely was suffering in a much deeper way. He worked the program and seemed happy with the results. I think his case will turn out to be a case of some kind of tragic blank in childhood that he was never able to work through. His family
But they literally showcased him on My 600 Pound Life. You do understand that by being on that show, you are literally being seen by people in one of the most negative, embarrassing, humiliating lights that you can be seen in. It's like adult bullying. Hey, let's look at this insane fat person and like let's make this person the theme of our show. That is going to chase someone for the rest of their life. Hey, have I seen you on My 600 Pound Life? That will be said to him when he's at the store buying something for his kid's birthday party. That will follow him forever. That's what he will be known by. Not by his job, not by his friends and family. He's by most people who will recognize him, who he will, become friends with or something. They will find out that he was on My 600 Pound Life, and that will be something that subtly makes them think less of him. And that will hurt someone. You don't have to say that it's about trauma or something else and try to obfuscate what this is really about. Maybe it really is as simple as this show was embarrassing, and it's a horrible thing to have happen to somebody. And partially, the conditions on the show made it infinitely worse. Let's talk about the actual producers who are making him into content. They get more out of his suffering. They profit off of the most embarrassing shit that could happen to this person. Every time they relapse on a cheeseburger, content. Every time that he cries on camera, content. It really is very lowbrow. And these people are, by nature, it's exploitive. You can hide behind the fact that, we're putting them on the right path, but in a lot of the process, in a lot of the everything besides that's on screen, you're being shitty. You're disregarding these people's humanity.
Family needs to put their grief where it belongs instead of latching onto an easy excuse for blank because there are no easy answers. One person with alleged onset.
This reminds me of Heart Attack Restaurant. There is/was a restaurant called Heart Attack Grill, and people would just eat themselves to death Like, what are we doing?
Experience also suggested that Megalomedia was likely meticulous with the contracts contestants were required to sign, implying that the lawsuits filed against the company likely won't last long. And that's exactly what happened on the 14th of April 2022, when a Texas court dismissed all the lawsuits in one fell swoop. Now, while the lawsuits were largely dismissed because of the airtight contracts, that doesn't mean the claims were entirely based.
Yeah, you can make something contractually where you're free from responsibility and you don't have to answer for your sins. But again, it doesn't mean that you're actually a good person or that you didn't do any of these things. It just means that like the person agreed to having the bad things happen largely because they were desperate. They were desperate for anyone to help them. And even if that help came with humiliation, embarrassment, and the disregarding of humanity, they would take it.
Baseless. But unless a future lawsuit moves forward and prevails, there's no way to confirm their validity at this point. That said, there are still plenty of questionable things about My 600-Pound Life that continue to cast a shadow over its legacy, like the humiliating shower scene that's shown while introducing each new contestant. Many fans see them as degrading and exploitative, which begs the question, why do the cast members even agree to do these extremely embarrassing scenes in the first place?
Because they're desperate. They have nothing else to help them.
For a while, there was a rumor floating around on the internet that participants were paid over $1,000 for that scene alone.
Yeah, that's desperation. That's literally like you're only one tier above sucking dick for money.
Which was almost as much as they received for a full episode. However, Angie J, who was on the show at one point, clarified this on Reddit, and according to her, there is no extra pay for it.
Ooh.
But the shower scene is pretty much mandatory as part of showing the participants' daily life. In other words, anyone hoping to appear on the show and receive help must first agree to that scene, even if it comes at the cost of their dignity. But that's not even the end of it, because on top of all the shady stuff that's allegedly going on behind the scenes, there are some serious issues with what the show actually chooses to put on camera, and nothing highlights this better than Dr. Mike's reaction to one of the show's episodes on his channel, where he raised concerns from the moment Dr. Now began his procedure.
And you have responsibility to your kids. So from this point on, we are going to make changes in your eating habit.
This is a very old school way of doctoring, where you tell a patient that you have children, you need to do better for them, and you try and lecture a patient. But in most instances, the way that you get a patient to where they want to be is by asking them the questions and getting them to a place where they say, I need to do this for my kids. Just the fact that they vocalized it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that, to be honest. That's why I'm not a doctor. I straight up would have thought that that's fine. I didn't really see any problem with saying that you have kids, you should care about them, and you should care about yourself because your kids look up to you. But, I mean, he's the doctor. He's Dr. Mike. Maybe he knows better. I guess that makes sense, like understanding what they want to do and where they're coming from, right? Yeah. I guess you can't really just talk at them. That's what the commentary channels do. That's not what doctors do.
Than you did will already go further in their success rate.
Yeah.
This was followed
That's a good point. And I do think that this guy, I mean, look, he's an older guy, and the rate of obesity spiking in recent years, in recent decades, probably has led him to talk, you know, about these things from a more disciplinary perspective.
Dr. Now outlining the participants' dietary plan,
but he's
which
not used
Dr.
to
Mike also found somewhat concerning.
To stick with the low-carb diet and eat only 3 times a day and no snacking, this will be a 1,200 calorie a day diet.
I don't know how they expect her to go from eating what she's eating to a 1,200 calorie diet 3 times a day. I just feel like you're setting up a person for failure on that.
I don't know if the expectation of it happening matters. I think it has to happen. I'm not going to argue with him about this one, but I do think like the practicality, yes, it's like, okay, you're making a drastic lifestyle change, but you do have to cold turkey some stuff. Honestly, yeah, I'm going to stick with that. I think there are certain things where it's like eating, it's not a drug like heroin that you literally can't quit immediately or else you'll have like withdrawals or you're throwing up and it feels like one of the worst feelings ever. I feel like if you need to, I mean, eating, you're not eating, you're just eating less. Like, you're not quitting eating. It is a drastic change, but you're not just going from eating all this shit to nothing. It's just less. And so, like, it is hard, but again, being this large will drastically reduce your lifespan. And so it's like, yeah, you have to do shit like this.
She's gonna have massive cravings, especially with the difficulties of her job. It's gonna make her sad. It's gonna make her uncomfortable.
And Dr. Now's plan for incorporating exercise into the participants' routine wasn't much better either.
Your ability to do exercise and walk.
And you want her to exercise and walk with 1,200 calories? I mean, it's just completely unreasonable.
I really don't do a lot of walking.
Or how much you can walk before you feel tired and give up.
Maybe like from here to your waiting room.
She should really be working with a nutritionist to figure out what she's already consuming and make changes from there, as opposed to getting a cookie cutter 1,200 calorie recommendation and telling her to exercise when she's never exercised before. It's just gonna
Why are we showing the jiggle physics?
be a major shock to the system. I think even the most well-intentioned patient is gonna struggle with that.
Even the way Dr. Now quotes
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I guess my argument, like, my problem with what he's saying is that his issue is that it's gonna be hard. And it's like, no fucking shit, it's gonna be hard, right? The idea that it's gonna be easy to drastically modify your life like this is a joke. This is gonna be fucking challenging. And obviously, if it was easy, then everyone would do it. Like, getting abs is challenging. Getting shredded is challenging. It's not unreasonable to ask somebody to do something challenging. It's unreasonable to ask somebody to do something impossible. It's not impossible. You're not going to die if you have 1,200 calories. You'll actually be fine. It will be frustrating. You will get hungry. It will be an uncomfortable new feeling. But that new feeling, that uncomfortable new feeling, is something that you have to get used to, because you need to not get as fat as you are. You need to drastically... Like, this drastic problem requires drastic solutions. Radical problems require radical solutions. And honestly, I don't even think that the 1,200 calories is that radical. It is a lot less calories, but it's going to add a lot more years to your life. And maybe what he's saying is that eventually she can get to that, and as of right now, you have to, you know, do less of a drastic shift. But I think, and this is just my take, I'm not a medical expert, but when you're at this level, I think time is ticking. I really do think that every day counts, and you have to just really get serious about this stuff and take drastic steps.
approved the surgery didn't sit right with Dr. Mai.
You're making good progress, and I think you're gonna be a good candidate for weight loss surgery, okay? But you still have a BMI close to 100. So I'm gonna send you to the hospital so we can run some tests on you, make sure you're safe for anesthesia. If all those tests are good, I'll approve you for surgery.
I hate that he says it as if like he needs to approve. We'll send you to the hospital for some special tests to make sure it's safe for you to go for the surgery. Not for me to decide if it's safe. You're not deciding. The tests are deciding whether or not it's safe for the patient. It's in their best interest. It's not you gatekeeping it.
So while Dr. Now is known for being stern yet patient with participants, there's still room for improvement when it comes to his overall approach and methodology, which he still has plenty of time to do, since the show isn't going anywhere. While its viewership has been on the decline since 2021, it's still popular enough to warrant new seasons, even 13 years after it first aired on TV. The only way it might truly fall out of favor is if major revelations surface about the alleged abuse, exploitation, and neglect going on behind the scenes, which, given the 10 dismissed lawsuits, seems highly unlikely.
Oh shit. Well, there you go. That's pretty crazy. Full disclosure, I had no idea that some of these things happen on the show. Honestly, I think that lawsuit stuff is kind of like, who cares if it got dismissed in court? You know, like TLC is a fucking corporate giant that makes media. It's a media giant. They're gonna have money. They're gonna have lawyers. They're gonna have these tight-knit contracts that like allow them to be absolved of all the shit that they've put people through. I think it's honestly bullshit. I think it's bullshit. I think that there are people who probably were legitimately very mistreated on that show. I don't think that's hard to believe at all. Good video though.